As players fly to Australia to begin their 2-week quarantine ahead of the Australian Open, there's already been some drama with COVID outbreaks. First, a chartered flight from LA to Melbourne had 2 passengers who later tested positive for COVID, Lauren Davis's coach and a flight attendant. Unfortunately, all players and other passengers on the flight have to do the 2-week quarantine completely shut in their rooms, not being able to train or work out. Typically, players can leave their hotel rooms for 5 hours a day to do their training. 67 passengers were on the LA flight, 24 of which were players. These players include Guido Pella, Juan Ignacio Londero, Pablo Cuevas, Kei Nishikori, Tennis Sengren, Sloane Stephens, Victoria Azarenka, Vasek Pospisil, and others. I especially feel for Sloane, who is already going through a lot, losing her grandmother and aunt within weeks of each other. My condolences to her and her family. Tennis Australia CEO and Australian Open Tournament Director Craig Tiley made a statement saying, "We are communicating with everyone on this flight, and particularly the playing group whose conditions have now changed, to ensure their needs are being catered to as much as possible, and that they are fully appraised of the situation. Our thoughts are with the 2 people who tested positive on the flight, and we wish them well for their recovery." Unfortunately, Tiley had another problem on his hands, as a flight from Abu Dhabi had a positive test upon arrival. It turns out Bianca Andreescu's coach Sylvian Bruneo was the COVID positive passenger, releasing this statement apologizing to those on board with him. 64 people were on this flight, 23 of them being competitors. Players include Angelique Kerber, Svetlana Kuznetsova, Ansher Burr, Marta Kostyuk, Bianca Andreescu, Belinda Bencic, Maria Sakkari, Paula Badosa, Sorana Cirstea, and Jen Brady. Kerber took to Twitter to personally tell her fans of the bad news. We have just been informed that a person on our flight from Abu Dhabi has returned a positive COVID-19 test. As a consequence, everyone on board needs to isolate in their rooms for the 14-day quarantine period. That's all I know for now. Let's wait and see. Good night. However, some players were frustrated and felt deceived of this strict quarantine. Yulia Putintseva said that no one ever told them if one person on board is positive, then the whole plane needs to be isolated. Sorana Cirstea agreed, saying, "If they would have told us this rule before, I would not play Australia, I would have stayed home. They told us we would fly at 20% capacity in sections, and we would be a close contact only if my team or cohort tests positive." People criticized Cirstea and Putintseva, saying that it should have been common knowledge that all passengers in such situation would have to undergo the strict quarantine. However, Sorana came out with the receipts where Tiley states that players won't be rushed into a slam after not playing while in quarantine. Bencic also spoke out and said that they didn't know much about the rules until they arrived. She then tweeted, "We are not complaining to be in quarantine. We are complaining because of unequal practice playing conditions before quite important tournaments." Speaking of unequal practice conditions, players are allegedly revolting because Naomi Osaka posted a video of her and her team on the Adelaide courts. As I mentioned in my previous video, players including Djokovic, Nadal, Thiem, Halep, Barty, Serena, and Osaka will be playing an exhibition in Adelaide on the 29th. These Adelaide players have more luxuries than those in Melbourne, being able to bring their entire team on court with them and living in better hotels where they don't have to go out to train in gyms. Now, Osaka posted this video last night around the same time that news of the LA flight broke out. She deleted the video about 10 minutes afterwards, but I screen recorded it because she deletes a lot of her tweets. She even deleted a tweet about her deleting tweets. If news of a revolt is true, I don't understand the reason because this exhibition has been announced. Players though could have just found out about it or are simply agitated with the conditions in Melbourne. Marta Kostyuk, who was on the Abu Dhabi flight, told her side of the story in a statement reading, "We can do nothing as the authorities will never allow us to go out. It'd be fair if the other players also were in such conditions, but such an initiative must come from them. I think that there will be more positive tests on other flights. As for me, I haven't received the results of the tests yet, and many other girls from my flight are also waiting for them. We also need comfortable conditions of being in such a strict isolation. The Wi-Fi isn't very good, and some girls don't even have it. Being alone is such a torture, and at the same time, we can't even call our coaches. Moreover, we also need treadmills or bicycles. I didn't ask for them before flying here, as I wasn't going to stay in my room for the whole time. Once the isolation is over, we must have preferences in training so that we could use those several days to prepare. But anyways, it's obvious that good preparation is almost impossible in such a short term. Finally, the organizers have to schedule our matches as late as possible. I definitely understand that it'd be extremely difficult to fulfill all these wishes. Also, Yulia Putintseva had an extra visitor with her in quarantine, a rat invading her room. This could be why players are reportedly trying to escape. They're also posting pictures of the food they're receiving, which looks terrible, and if I were them, I'd be Uber eating like Benoit Paire. I don't think the special treatment is only for those in Adelaide, as Medvedev clearly has a nice spacious stay. There will always be special accommodations for the top players, and it's evident that that's happening on every level in Australia, from Adelaide to Melbourne. I do feel it's important to call out those providing these accommodations rather than the top players because they're the ones actually getting it done. People were viciously going in on Naomi for that video for really no reason at all. Yes, she probably shouldn't have posted it, but it was only up for a few minutes. It's clear that those going in on her already had a vendetta against her, and I definitely know why. Anyways, the blame should be entirely on Tennis Australia because this is a whole mess. In all honesty, they never should have done the exhibition because it puts the rest of the field at a disadvantage. I also don't think they were clear enough with the players and the flight protocols. I really don't know how this happened, to be honest, because the US Open didn't have any of these problems. I think they should have sprung for more chartered flights so that people would be more spread out because now you have 47 players who can't train for 2 weeks. Although I don't think that Tennis Australia or the government will budge, we'll see if they'll try to make some exemptions for the players so that they can practice. For true fairness, I think that the Open should be pushed back another week because the players on those flights have about 2 days to practice for the lead-up events and about a week for the Slam. Pablo Cuevas though seems to be making adjustments, using his mattress to get some strokes in. That's all for this chaotic, drama-filled video, and let me know how you feel about everything I talked about, including the flights, the player complaints, Naomi slander, and more. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.